YouTube, what's up? Back again for another daily fishing video here on Andrew Upshaw Fishing. Today, guys, I have a very special video for you, and we're going to talk about the great divide in the bass fishing industry, and that is between Bass Pro Tour and the Bassmaster Elite Series. This is a two-part series. This is part one of part two. Part two is going to focus more on the AAA level and going on into the college series, which I actually was asked to do a video on that because there's definitely some things going on over there that we need to pay attention to. But first and foremost, I've wanted to do this video for quite some time. And let me just say first, right out of the gate, these are my opinions. These are my opinions only. These aren't anybody else's opinions. And maybe you share the opinion, but everything I say here is from me. And so I just want to say that out loud. You know, it's not from Strike King, it's not from Lose, anybody, any of my sponsors, it's from me. So let's just dive right on into it. You've got the Bassmaster Elite Series over here, and you've got the Bass Pro Tour over there. You know, we had a lot of Elite Series anglers leave to go to Major League Fishing to start that organization with hopes of either A, changing kind of the course of the fishing industry, going more of the digital aspect of things, and then also the conservation. There's a lot of things that they're doing over there that's different than the Bassmaster side. And then you have Bass, you have the old heads, you got the guys that have been around for a long time, you got the 50-year organization. It's been around, it's done its thing. It has the Bassmasters Classic, which is the pinnacle of bass fishing. It has all these great features just like Major League Fishing does. But what this did, when all these anglers shifted over, is it created a division that has lingered and gotten worse over time. You know, some people have forgotten about it, don't get me wrong. The people who don't really pay attention to the industry or just don't really care that much. But I think this year is going to be a year, and I say this year, 2022, the upcoming season, is going to be a year of even more division. And I think we need to talk about it because the deal is this is something that tournament organizations have done for a long time. We've always whispered in the background saying, man, why did they do this? Why did they do that? And we've talked about it, but we haven't talked about it. And that's what we're doing today is we're going to talk about it. We're going to really break this down because let's be honest, guys. When you look at the schedules between the Bassmaster Elite Series and the Bass Pro Tour, I would say more than half, if not more than half, have conflicting dates on top of each other. And what that means is let's say, for instance, the February 17th through 20th Harris Chain of Lakes Bassmaster Elite Tournament. You also have the February 19th through 24th Bassmaster Elite Tournament on, where is that at? Lake Fork. So you have two different events scheduled on top of each other from both organizations. This is just one small example of how they continue to schedule things on top of other tournaments. And from the viewer standpoint or from the consumer standpoint, they're like, yeah, I don't care. Like, those anglers got to pick which one they want to fish. That's great, whatever. But from a marketing, a business aspect of this, this is probably one of the worst mistakes any of these organizations could ever make. Ever. So, when you look at let's say, for instance, this is hypothetically, Bass goes to his sponsor. We'll say Toyota, for an example. And they say, hey, Toyota, we have however many elite tournaments, 8, 9, whatever it is. I hadn't even looked at the exact number of tournaments. We have 9 tournaments, and these are the impressions that we're expecting. But when the impressions come back on 6 of them about half to 3/4 of what they actually are supposed to be, Toyota's gonna be like, hey, why are your impressions so low? Why are your views so low? And they're like, oh no. And this is Major League Fishing gonna do the same thing. They're like, oh, the views are great. These are great. You know, as it progressed, you know, these tournaments are good. This one was really good because the weights were really good, and whatever excuse they want to make, fine. But the problem is that you're skewing your impression rate when you schedule these tournaments on top of each other. When you're basing almost all your coverage off of live coverage and you schedule it on another event that is literally the same size as you, that is the dumbest thing you could ever do. And so, therefore, what this proves is that neither organization decide to work together. For whatever reason, and it could be ego, it could be one thinks is better than the other, whatever it may be, what this does is it kills the amount of money that endorsements bring or sponsors bring into the organization, because they're like, look, your views aren't very good. Why would I want to spend my money with you if your views aren't very good? Well, their views will be double as good if they would stop scheduling tournaments on top of each other. Furthermore, when it comes to the aspect of scheduling on top, anglers can't fish both. When you're going to say, well, an angler doesn't really want to fish both. Well, John Cox did last year, and he tried to fish every single one, and they still had conflicts, but he wasn't able to fish all of them. Well, this year, now, all of a sudden, you can't fish any of them because they're all scheduled on top of each other. So, what this shows is that they don't want you to fish both of them. They don't like that. But, it's not right for the professional angler standpoint, because guess what, guys? I hate to break it to you. Pro anglers pay entry fees. We pay money to fish these tournaments. So why should we be punished because they can't get their act together and work together? And that's what we're dealing with right now, is the fact that these two organizations definitely refuse to work together to, try to make things work for the industry and put aside all their little selfish sides and work together as an industry. They refuse to. And I don't care what side it's on. It could be on Major League Fishing, it could be on bass. I have no idea which side it's on. I have my speculation, and I'm not going to say what it is, but I have my thought on it. But you know what? It doesn't matter, because they will not work together. They won't change schedules. They are set in stone. This is what it's going to be. But yet they're going to charge us anglers. So next year, when their views are crap, because both of them's views are crap because they continue to schedule on top of each other, they're going to lose money. And therefore, situations like what happened on the pro circuit for next year, they raised the entry fees again 2 years in a row, and they did not raise the payout. That's exactly what happens, because they got to compensate somewhere. Because the deal is these fishing companies are getting smart to it. They're figuring out this beef, and they're figuring out their views are crap, because the deal is when you continually schedule things on top of each other, it kills this industry. Whether or not people want to address that is another subject. And I'm going to have a bunch of comments down here saying that, well, pro anglers shouldn't be paying entry fees. Well, stuff like this is the reason pro anglers are paying entry fees, is because both organizations refuse to work together. They're in this big heated match of destroying each other, bringing people down, and creating this division to the point where things like this happen. We're paying more entry fees than we're getting back. I mean, look at the Opens, just for instance. And I don't want to talk about the Opens too much because that's part two. But we're paying an $1,800 entry fee, and we're getting back like $2,600. I mean, if you go out there for a week, you're burning way more than that with hotels and gas and everything like that. It's a losing deal. But they dangle that carrot over there. It's kind of like that one of those insurance commercials where he's like, hey, look at this dollar, and he's dangling it with a fishing pole and he's holding it upside down, but that's irrelevant. But that's the same thing. It's saying, hey, look, here's the Elite Series bid, here's the Bassmasters Classic, and Toyota Series, here's our $200,000 tournament. Pro Circuit, hey, we're going to take 10 anglers, but yet we only took 5 of you because 5, Bass Pro Tour guys were in the top 10, but that wasn't stated in the rules. It said that 10 Pro Circuit anglers were going to make it. Beside the point. But that's for my Pro Circuit guys. All my buddies that are still fishing over there, I got you, buddy. Even though y'all don't want to talk to me no more, I still got you. I still got your back. Because at the end of the day, these anglers are bringing in an enormous amount of money to both organizations. And then you add on an organization like the National Professional League that came in from nothing. Basically nothing. They didn't have history. They didn't have the anglers. They didn't have anything. They came in and said, you know what, we're going to make a working man's high-level trail, and we're going to broadcast it. We're going to do our best, and they have. And, guys, it has exploded. I think it's one of the best trails out there. I'm not going to say it's the Elite Series. I'm not going to say it's the Bass Pro Tour as far as, like, quite level yet. But those guys are fantastic fishermen. And that's the thing, guys. Like, I've said it for years, and I'll continue to say it. When you look at tournaments like the National Professional League, you look at the Elite Series, you look at the Bass Pro Tour, and you have all these guys on the side saying, oh, well, this one's way better because they have this angler. Well, that angler is really good, and don't get me wrong. You guys like Jacob Wheeler, Ott Defoe, Kevin Van Dam, and they're all extremely accomplished, and I never take away their accomplishments, and a couple of them are really good friends of mine. But the deal is that those guys won because they were there. There's some really great anglers that haven't had that opportunity to fish at that particular level that are really, really good. And then the National Professional League has actually exposed some of these anglers and shown just how great some of these guys are. And they could compete in just about any trail that's out there. That's just the facts. So my point on this entire video is kind of a plea to the fishing industry and say, please, guys, can you two organizations figure out a way to work together? And believe me, I have every reason to hate Major League Fishing. Every reason. I hate them. I hate a few people that make some decisions. They took a Force World Cup qualification away from me. They took it away from quite a few guys. But at the end of the day, we need the Bass Pro Tour to be successful. We need the Bassmaster Elite Series to be successful. We also need the National Professional League to be successful. The only way these organizations are successful if they figure out a way to work together, because the deal is the more they fight, the more they schedule tournaments on top of each other, the more their views are down, and the less money they get. Therefore, the less money gets paid back, less money spent in this industry. And all these anglers decide, you know what, they're better off going and working at the firehouse instead of going fishing. Because that's the reality of things, guys. The entry fees are getting ridiculous, and the payout is not increasing, and that is an absolute fact. You can go look at anything you want to, but that is the facts of the matter. These two organizations have to start working together. And I will say this. I want to say this about the National Professional League. I commend those guys. Commend them. I had the opportunity to fish it last year, and I decided not to. And I'm not going to say it was a regret, because I have a goal, and that's to make the Elite Series, and I made that goal very clear to those guys. I want to fish the Elites. That's just where I want to be. It's where I feel comfortable, so on and so forth. And I have people ask, like, well, would you go to Major League Fishing if they invited you? I said, there's no reason for them to invite me. I haven't done anything. I won a couple of tournaments. Yeah, that's great. But that's not where I want to be. Now, if Bass called me and said, hey, by the way, you're invited to the Elite Series, before I even hung up, I'd probably already have my deposit paid, because I want to fish the Elite Series. It's my passion. But what I want to say about the National Professional League is those guys are very adamant about scheduling around events, the opens, the pro circuit, and all these different things, because they want anglers to come fish their tournaments. And to me, that makes all the sense in the world. Wouldn't you want all the anglers to come fish your tournaments? Because therefore, the more anglers you have in your events, the more full fields you get, the more money you make, the more exposure you get. And if you don't schedule it on top of other events, guess what happens? More exposure you get, therefore more sponsor dollars you get. You see how this is kind of a big round circle? And if every time we take a chip out of it, it screws things up. So if any high-level executive, and I seriously doubt anybody's going to watch my YouTube video, but if any high-level executive at either organization would like to sit down and talk, I would love to be a mediator. I'd love to sit down and talk with y'all and figure out a way that we can all work together. And I'm not saying I'm representing Bass or MLF. I'll sit between both of you and we'll figure out a way. Because at the end of the day, I'm passionate about the fishing industry. I think it has a lot of opportunity. And the more we work together, the better it's going to be for everyone. Consumer to professional, everywhere in between. Because at the end of the day, guys, I'm not on the Elite Series. I'm not on the Bass Pro Tour. I watch all the footage, but to see this fight, this angst between both organizations is getting really old, and I think we need to get past it to make this industry thrive even more than it is right now. So, guys, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Part 2's coming. It's definitely one that you don't want to miss. It's definitely going to dive into some things that need to be addressed. If you can, share this video with your friends. Comment below what you think. Yeah, I'm not going to delete comments unless they're cussing, so please don't cuss in my videos or in the comment section of my videos. So, guys, I appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video.